the past perfect continuous tense is similar to the past perfect tense, except that the activity is continuous. In the past perfect continuous tense, something happens in the past. This is some sort of activity that's continuous, and at some point it stops, and then you have the present. So you talk about something that finished in the past, and it's a continuous activity. A friend of mine had been living in this building for over 20 years before he got married. Here is the past perfect continuous tense in the singular and the plural. I had been, and then the main verb is followed with an ing ending. This is the base form, or you can say the simple form, so you don't have to remember the past participle. The past participle is here. This is the helping verb, had. You always use this. Then you always use the verb be in the form of a past participle. The main verb here is in the simple form with an ing ending. So you can use verbs like go, do, see, eat, live, work. Almost any verb will fit here, but you can't use the verb be in this position. He had been working there for 10 years before he was fired. So here is when the person was fired, and then this is the time before that. He had been working there for 10 years before he was fired. You could also use the past perfect tense and just say he had worked. He had worked there for 10 years before he was fired. One good thing about the past perfect continuous tense is that you don't have to remember what the past participle is, especially for the irregular verbs. When she came to the door, I could tell she had been crying. Here's the past perfect continuous tense, and this started in the past, and the person was crying, 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 and then stopped, and then came to the door, and then answered the door, but was no longer crying. So this is a good way to talk about activity that takes place in the past, and it's continuous, but then it stops. And after this, then you are in the present, and you're talking about the situation now. Before help arrived, the survivors of the earthquake had been praying for a miracle. So something really bad happens, like an earthquake, and people are trapped or in need of help, and they're praying, 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 and then help arrives. And then that brings us to the present, and we talk about the situation in the past, and it's continuous, and this is the example. It doesn't matter what the subject is, you're always going to use had, been, and then here's the main verb. So this could be singular or plural. They had been taking extra precautions to avoid the flu, but they got it anyway. So we see here on the timeline, the verb take had been taking, and this is continuous, and then something happens that would be this. They got the flu. When had and not are used together in the form of a contraction, it sounds like hadn't, hadn't. hadn't. I went to the doctor because I hadn't been feeling well. Here's the past perfect continuous tense. And this situation stopped after this happened. So here on the timeline is the past, and feeling, then went to the doctor, and now everything is okay.